Hello Mill Creek community, my name is Tom Cutter and I'm in charge of the audio video class here at Mill Creek. And we're starting something brand new. It's a YouTube channel and podcast where we're trying to inform Mill Creek students and parents of just important information around our school. So today I have two wonderful guests. We have Miss Moore and Miss Jakes, who are really knowledgeable about the registration process here at Mill Creek. And so I wanted to kind of start off with Miss Jakes, our curriculum AP, and if you could just kind of go through some of the important deadlines for this registration process for us.
Sure. So last week students received some registration postcards that really focused on what our elective courses were and our AP courses. In addition to that, they received information on how to actually complete your registration form. So that was last week, and as we move into this week, we really want students to make sure that they have reviewed all those documents, they understand things that need approvals or forms, applications, that they've gone and talked to the teacher who is representing that class, and they've asked the questions that they need to, because next week we start registration. Students will receive their registration card on Wednesday, January the 29th, during their first period. If a student doesn't have a first period here at Mill Creek, they can come to the curriculum office to get their registration form. During that day, students will take their card to every teacher and get their signatures for their recommended classes, especially in language arts, math, science, and social studies. It's also their opportunity to go see the teachers that they need to see for their other classes that they may want to take. Students will have 2 full days, Wednesday and Thursday, to get all their signatures. That includes taking it home and having their parents sign it as well. Forms are due back on Friday, January the 31st, and that goes to their first period teacher, and the first period teachers will turn them into the curriculum office. It's very important. It comes back on Friday. We start checking things off, and then we'll start to come find you if it hasn't been turned in.
Okay.
In addition to that, we have other deadlines, such as if a student is interested in dual enrollment, working with Ms. Griffin in the counseling office, and we have drop ad, which will occur in April and end on the last day of school.
Okay. In terms of the drop ad, when will students get like a tentative schedule of their classes where they can see whether they would want to drop ad? When will that happen?
So our goal is on April the 10th, so students will receive just a list of classes, and it will say every single class we have them registered for. If there are any mistakes or anything that a student would like to change, then we ask that they complete a drop ad form. Drop ad will be open from April the 10th through May the 20th, and they can submit that form at any time. Drop ad is a first come, first serve, so as soon as they receive those lists of courses, if they've changed their mind, they need to submit the form as soon as they're ready. Rising seniors will need to make sure they get a senior or get their counselor signature. We would not want them to drop something needed to graduate. Right.
So let's switch gears and talk about counseling, because I'm sure you have students that have a lot of questions about their requirements for graduation. There's also other interests such as, we have Grayson and Maxwell. So I had a student ask me about Grayson and Maxwell and what they should do if they're interested in one of those programs. So could you let us know what they should do?
Sure. So the first step with Maxwell and Grayson is just at some point you should have met with your counselor just to kind of understand what the program is, what the demands are, time of day, just the logistics of how it works. Typically, we have a bus that will take you to Maxwell. You would come to Mill Creek and either get on the Maxwell bus, go take periods 1, 2, and 3 at Maxwell, come back to Mill Creek and finish out your day here, or vice versa. Come here, first 3 periods here, get on a bus, go to Maxwell to finish out the day there. Grayson, on the other hand, you have to provide your own transportation there. It's on the other side of the county, so it's hard getting there. They have great programs. It's just we don't have a bus to provide transportation. Once you figure out that Maxwell and Grayson's a good fit for you, just you'll need to apply, and you can apply on your eClass page. It's under technical school applications. That application will fill up. Some of those programs will fill up and will become a lottery. They'll draw names out of the hat who gets those spots. And if you have any other questions, I think Maxwell will be here on the 29th. They'll be here in the cafeteria on the 29th to answer any kind of questions about different programs and stuff. The good thing about Maxwell and Grayson is that the 3 classes that you take on campus there will be considered technical classes, 3 technical classes. But within those 3, there's an embedded credit, and it's either going to be in language arts, math, or science, depending on the program you pick. So at the end of the year, you won't just earn 3 credits at Maxwell, you'll earn 4. And a lot of times your senior language arts can be covered, or your senior math, your 4th math can be covered, or your 4th science. There's a lot of options. It's just a great opportunity for a lot of kids who just want their school to look a little different. They have uniforms they have to wear, so they have a culinary arts, and you're dressed like a chef, and you're in a kitchen working with other kids, and so it's just it's a good program if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of options, like when I look at this gold sheet here, all the options that we have here at Mill Creek High School, we have just a ton of different electives and classes that kids can take, which is awesome because not every student's the same. They all have different interests, different paths that they want to take. So it's cool that they have so much to choose from, but I do worry that kids take this process seriously because I've had students in the past come and say, I didn't know about your program, I didn't know what my options were, and so we really want to stress today, be aware of everything that we have to offer here at Mill Creek High School. So Ms. Jakes, you guys have done a great job of putting stuff up on the website, and so talk to the audience a little bit about what you guys have done to just inform the Mill Creek community, and what should these students and parents be doing right now as we're leading right up to registration?
So within the next week or so, students should really dig into the website and look through the description of all the courses, what it entails, what the prerequisites are. Oftentimes we get the question, what is a prerequisite? And that's a class that may be required before you enroll in another class. And so it's important that parents and students are aware of what the expectation is, and if they have any questions, we provided so much contact information so those teachers are ready to answer questions from parents or students about that. In addition, we've provided a copy of the registration card ahead of time, and it's on our website so students can preview the actual registration card right now so they can see what options are out there. We also have videos about different elective courses that is on our website as well. And if you want to dig even deeper, you're welcome to ask a department chair or an assistant principal, or go talk to the counselors, because they're available to help with any type of courses that a student may be interested in.
Right. And I'm sure it's important just to get all these questions and things answered now, because after registration occurs, you can't go back and just redo it. We can't do that for however many students are registering during this process. So,
correct. We do have a lot of classes for students to choose, but a lot of our classes also require some work to get to that point. So even during the drop add process, if a student wants to drop a class and add something else that requires a teacher's approval, they'll have to go through that process. So it is in their best interest to go ahead and get that work done right now than to wait until the end of May, because it can get messy. Right. We do hear sometimes that students aren't aware of different things that are offered, and one point of this video is just to make sure, hey, you are looking at what's out there, and then let's get the questions answered now.
Right. Okay. What are some other, I guess, frequently asked questions that you get in your office? Because I'm sure you hear it all, but what could we inform the audience about that you hear all the time?
So frequently, we do get questions on how to complete the registration card. So, last week we went through the process, but the biggest thing I can stress is we need you to get signatures for any class that requires a signature, even if it's not going to be your top class. If you're interested in that class, we need you to get the signature. The next part is we have to circle 6 classes. So typically most students, that's a math, science, language arts, and social studies class, and then 2 elective courses. Those 6 classes are what we are taking or interpreting as, these are the 6 classes I want to take, and we are going to give our best effort to provide that for a student. The next part that we have a tough part with is making sure that students list 3 alternate classes. An alternate class is a class that you would take if one of your 6 courses was not available. Last year we had a lot of kids list as alternates the same classes that they circled. That's not an alternate, so we have to have an additional 3 classes just in case one of the classes U-Circled is not available. That's probably the most frequently asked opportunity that we have. The other one is, what do I do if I want to do enrollment? How do I fill out my registration card? What if I want to do Grayson or Maxwell? Our registration form has a portion on there that a student will sign, and that will give us a heads up that a student is interested in that. We also have students who have different situations where they may currently be enrolled in an additional class and they want to write us a little note. You're welcome to write us a little note, but we know every student and every opportunity and every situation can be different. So the more they're able to communicate with their counselor and with us, we can try our best to get them the courses that they want. But I will continue to stress, get those signatures.
Mm-hmm. What if a student's taking this gold sheet to all their core classes and teachers are making recommendations for what they should go to next? But what if a student doesn't agree with the recommendation? You know, maybe they speak with their parents. What's the process look like if they don't want to take what their teacher has recommended?
So for any course that a teacher has recommended that a student does not agree with, we have a parent override form, and those are available on our website. You can also get them in the curriculum office, and we'll put some around the other offices as well. And a student will complete that, provide a reason, and then a teacher and a parent must sign off on that form. We typically will talk to a student if we feel like, ooh, this might be a tough thing for you. Oftentimes what we find is a student is really willing to push themselves and go into a rigorous schedule, but we have to look at the balance of what the rigor is and just keeping that in mind, and that's a conversation we will have with the student. But that form is available, and it is there whether you want to move up a level or move down a level.
Okay. Ms. Moore, let me ask you, speaking of rigor, students that are interested in AP classes,
Yes.
I'm sure you talk with kids about this.
Daily.
I know they're difficult classes. That's what we hear a lot. So what does that conversation look like with kids where they're interested in AP? It's difficult once they sign up for it. Mm-hmm. We don't want them backing out. So what do you advise students that are interested in AP classes?
Well, I always start the conversation with, what is your goal? What's your reason for taking this? Are you trying to help offset the cost of college? Are you trying to get into a particular school? Are you bored and really interested in a higher level of learning? Are you just challenged, like trying to figure out what the goal of that student is? Mm-hmm. If it is trying to get into a particular school, I know we meet a lot with kids who have a particular school they're wanting to go to, and it's kind of hard for us to say yes or no because I don't know the kids, mm-hmm. I don't know their work ethic, I don't know their study habits, I don't know their time commitments. We ask all those questions, but you know, if you are involved in marching band, which I think those students work like 6 hours after school in the fall, mm-hmm. And you're wanting to take 5 AP level classes, then you're like, I don't know how physically that's possible. You just wouldn't be sleeping any. You'd be studying mm-hmm. all the time or being at school or being at practice. So there is a balance between kids pushing themselves to reach their goals and then being able to maintain a sense of a healthy balance between right. being able to get the sleep that you need and the time for your extracurriculars that you need and time for your other studies. So, you know, it's kind of hard to say what classes, you know, there's obviously certain AP classes that will require more time just because of the content that you have to memorize mm-hmm. or know versus a skill. Like, you know, some AP classes require an intense skill that, you know, depend on your level of intelligence, you know, you might get that skill a lot faster than someone else. So your level of study might not be as much. I know that's a very broad answer, but you know, a lot of our colleges are very competitive colleges, Georgia Tech, Clemson, those schools that kids are really wanting to go to, they would rather kids stay on campus and take AP level classes here. They want to know that you're taking the hardest class that you can take, and that you're doing well in those classes. So, you know, that number for those classes, Georgia Tech, Clemson, are, you know, somewhere to finish up your high school career with anywhere between 6 and 10 AP level classes. That is the average number of AP classes those colleges are looking for. You know, so if you're wanting to get into those places as a freshman, that might need to be a conversation that you have with somebody. If you don't care going to Georgia as a freshman, but you'd like to get a degree from Georgia, maybe you would start out at Kennesaw or North Georgia or GGC. And AP level, there's not a certain amount of AP levels that are required to get into those schools. You know, GPA definitely, but not the AP level classes. So, you know, it's a lot. Everybody's different. Everybody's different of what their goal. We're trying to ask, see what are you hoping to accomplish?
Yeah.
And then once we figure out that, then we can have a conversation about how many APs, which AP, all of that kind of stuff. I know I had a conversation with a kid who wanted to be a psychology degree. Like he wanted to get a major in psychology, so taking AP physics wasn't as important as taking AP psychology here. So he was having to make that conversation, and that was just how is this class going to help me later on? So, you know, those just basic conversations like that.
Right. And just, you know, those conversations shouldn't just be between you and a student. The parents need to be involved.
Teachers, the more people they can talk to about this, the more informed they will be. I'm just one opinion on one day. You know, the more information you can hear from different people, the better informed you are to make the decision what's best for you.
Right. And I will say, I actually want to brag on our school, because when I speak to Mill Creek kids who have gone on to all different colleges and are now in careers, I ask them every time I have a guest, whether it be through Skype or they come into the school, I say, how did Mill Creek do preparing you for once you left? And I think every person says Mill Creek did a good job preparing me. And we don't always hear that when they're seniors because they're ready to graduate and get out of here. But when they come back, they say, it really did prepare me well. It made college easier than probably what it would have been. They talk about their friends that came from other schools that struggle a little bit more. So I do want to brag on our school in terms of we are preparing kids for the next level, so that's good. Now, a lot of students, I think, they'll talk to their friends and they'll ask their friends about classes. They'll say, hey, did you take this class? What should I take? They're getting all the I guess, feedback from friends that have taken courses. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, okay, I do, okay? Friends are good information, okay? But you also need to consider what's your friend's work ethic, what's your friend's behavior like in class? Because, you know, if I'm a rule follower, my experience in class might be different than the person next to me who likes to talk a lot or sleep in class. And so friends are going to give you a real answer, but don't take it from one friend. Like you need to talk to multiple people,
right?
And people who are similar to you, people who work like you do, behave like you do, and have the goals like you do. So you know, friends are good, but friends don't always have your best interest when they're speaking to you. It's their personal experience. So
let me ask a really hard question. There's a large percentage of kids, they don't have a clue what they want to do in the future. So how, especially from the counseling side, how do you advise students that really don't have a target yet? They're really lost in this process and they can't really see down the road for themselves.
Well, in the counseling department, we try to go into the classroom, we do go into the classrooms 9th, 10th and 11th grade and try some career just some little career tests, just to kind of point the kids in a direction of based on what your interests are. On your eClass page, you have every kid has access to a career like a database of where you can take some interest inventories. So that would be your first thing that you start with, and just you know come talk with us, and we just ask basic conversations. Do you like to work with people? Do you want to do something on your own? Do you want to own your own business? Do you want to have a steady paycheck that you know it's coming in? It's not you're determining that, owning your own business. So some basic questions, you know, what are your passions? Trying to match these kids up of what they're good with and what they enjoy doing, how they can make money doing those two things. And you know, it's kind of like I tell people all the time, I got in trouble a lot for talking in school. Well, now I'm paid to talk. I get paid money to talk to kids every day, and it's great. So there's a job out there for everybody figuring out what you're good at and what you like to do. Just trying to figure that out is the hard part. But, you know, come see us. We'll help start that conversation.
Yeah, okay. Well, what have we left out? Do y'all see any spots that we need to discuss real quick as we're winding down?
I think going back to talking to your friends, I am very active in the community, and that would probably be the toughest thing for kids that I see as they're making decisions, and I can see it processing, is at the end of the day, they're going to have to do what is best for them, that's going to provide the most success for them. So I agree with what Ms. Moore said, making sure if you are going to talk to a friend, it's a friend that's very similar to you, so that the information you're receiving about a certain course meets your needs and expectations.
Yeah.
May 20th is the last day for drop ad. We oftentimes have kids come in during the summer and ask for different classes. We base our staffing, hiring of teachers and courses based off of what a student's asking for. So May 20th is the last day, and that includes anybody who's doing dual enrollment. Your deadlines are even before then. So drop ad, May 20th, that's the final day. And so we just ask that all those decisions are made by that time.
Right.
One additional thing that students often ask is whether or not they have to have 6 courses, which would be 7 periods if you include lunch. The answer to that is yes. So even if you are a senior who may need language arts and your social studies to graduate, we do require that you maintain full-time status. So all students, no matter how many credits you need to graduate, must maintain 6 courses at Mill Creek, or a combination if you're looking at dual enrollment options. When you are applying to college, it's really important that they see that you are continuing the rigor and the expectations. So please make sure that you, no matter what, circle 6 courses, even if you need them or not. Thank you.
All right, so Mill Creek community, we thank you for tuning in. What we want is for you to just be aware of this process. We want you to go to the website and check out under the registration link all the documents that are there to help you make an informed decision for you and your student. Check out all the classes that we offer, any prerequisites. Do your homework so that you can make an informed decision and be happy with that decision. So we thank you so much for tuning in, and this won't be our last broadcast, and we thank you for joining us.